Hello and welcome to Career Center. I'm Kimberly White, Executive Director of the Community Career Center, a resource center located in Naperville for people in career transition. Each month, we will discuss tips and trends as it relates to job search and career advancement. Joining me today is Marketing and Brand Strategy Manager and blogger extraordinaire, I threw that in, Pratik Bhatt. Welcome, Pratik.
Thank you.
It is so good to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So I have to confess, Pratik is our newest member on our board and really has your head wrapped around all this marketing stuff. So
yeah, I'm excited to be there and looking forward to contributing.
Great, thank you. So before we delve into social media, I would love for you to share a little bit about who you are.
Sure. So I'm currently the Marketing Brand Strategy Manager at a higher ed institution here. Before that, I was Associate Director of Interactive Recruiting at the Indiana University. I got my MBA there at the Kelley School of Business, and so I was in Indiana for a couple of years.
Okay.
Prior to that, I've been in the Chicago area mostly in various marketing roles, digital marketing, e-commerce, and yeah, just kind of...
Yeah. Marketing, I know, was not your first forte. You got your degree in engineering, correct?
That's right. Yeah. I got a degree in engineering from the University of Illinois in Champaign, and while I was there, I actually ended up starting a business. I was a graphics design and custom apparel business, and so I really started to get more interested in that. And so I actually did a business minor with my engineering degree and knew I kind of wanted to shift more towards business with my career. So after my first job, which was more in like the technical side, I switched over to a digital marketing agency and worked my way up from there.
So tell me a little bit more about your business. Did you always have this entrepreneurial spirit kind of to run your own business?
So not really, but I think I had a passion for design, and I'd taken graphics design in high school. I had started doing like greeting cards and t-shirts and posters, flyers, things like that for my college organizations that I was involved with. And others started asking me, hey, can you do ours? And so kind of just saw the opportunity from there. Yeah. Had a little extra cash from an internship in college. Yeah. And so, you know, just kicked it off from there. Yeah.
And so initially, though, it was, you had your mindset on engineering until that happened.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely like engineering, and I have experience with like coding and websites and some of that. But I think I just liked a little bit more of the creative side of marketing, and so I shifted more towards that.
And so designing t-shirts and cards and stuff, how involved were you in that, in that process, with that process?
Yeah, I mean, for that business, it was kind of, I was doing everything from...
Were you doing it from your dorm room, or?
Besides the actual printing, which I contracted a local screen printer out on Green Street, if anyone you know Champaign. But yeah, it was kind of my brother and me doing most of the designs. Then I eventually took on some other friends as reps at other campuses. So we had people in Chicago, St. Louis, New Jersey, and other areas that would get us orders.
Right, wow. So with that, then comes all of social media, right? Because you're trying to market your product, and how did all that work?
Yeah, that's where I started a business page on Facebook and kind of got an introduction to that. Got Twitter then, started playing into search engine marketing, and using all those tools because they were free. Just you needed time to put yourself out there, including we started a blog, so talking about kind of what we were doing, the orders we got, the events we attended. It was just a good, easy way to get your name out there when you didn't have a lot of funds for marketing.
So what part of that, of the tools that you used, do you think worked the best? I know, like, we'll talk about your blog in a minute because I love your blog, but was that a big part of it, or was it more a business page? What do you think worked?
For that,
a combination of.
Yeah, I would definitely say a combination. I mean, Facebook was kind of new back then. I believe it was my freshman or sophomore year when it really got big in college. And so everyone is joining that. You got to make your connections, you share everything that you're doing, and it was an easy way to use your network to get the word out. Now I think it's become harder to use that strictly for like business unless you do have some like a marketing budget for social media, because a lot of it is paid to get your name out there.
All right, so your blog, let's just talk about that for a second, because it really shares a lot about who you are, and if you are a business, it puts things out to your customers, which is really a good thing, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the blog I started, I think after my first digital marketing job. I wanted to get into marketing, so I was reading everything I could, go to the library, go online, read others' blogs. And then I had a job at an agency where you kind of get exposed to a lot of different clients. And so just taking those experiences, and I would start writing about what I learned, trying things. If I learned search engine optimization, or SEO as it's referred to, I'd try to write a blog or post about that. And that helped me both kind of gain more experience by trying and testing things, and show others people that I do know something about this subject.
Let's elaborate a little bit on SEO, because that's really critical to the marketing of a company, or right? Yeah.
I mean, right now, what's the first thing you do when you go online? You open Google and you type a search in. So that's most people's entrance to the internet, besides social media. So search engine optimization is kind of just the tactics you use to get the right keywords and relevant content onto your site so that you're found more easily.
And how do you know which words to use? I mean, it's specific to your mission or how you want to brand the company or product?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two sides of it. There's your branding, and then there's what people actually look for. If I don't know what search engine optimization is or SEO is, I might be looking for how to get my website to rank. But that's a more common phrase that you'd want to write about specifically in how people talk. But then for the more professional or your brand, you want to be known as an industry expert, you would use the word SEO.
All right, so let's talk about social media and job search, because I know that that's always a big thing, and I clearly don't profess to know all there is to know about that. But there is a role that social media plays in one's job search.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'm a huge proponent of LinkedIn. That's probably the most important social media tool for a job search. I would put it almost as high as a resume now, because it is a resume, but you get to enhance that piece of paper by adding more experiences, you can add videos and pictures, and it's like a virtual portfolio of everything that you can add to it.
And when you say videos and pictures, you're professional type pictures and videos.
If you've worked on creative projects, or you want to just talk about something, you can upload to YouTube and put that video on LinkedIn on your profile.
Okay, so I was just thinking about that. So if someone's like in graphic arts or something, obviously it's going to be a little bit more splashy, but if it's engineering, it may just be you're talking about
a how-to video or industry trends, anything that helps you kind of demonstrate that you're knowledgeable about the subject and that you can add value in the space.
So you said LinkedIn for sure. What about Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter is great because the unique thing about Twitter is there's no real barrier to access to people. So if a thought leader, or you can tweet directly to presidents, celebrities, anyone, and have real conversations with them. Whereas on Facebook or LinkedIn, there's a step where you have to ask for the connection, then you're allowed to talk to them. So Twitter, I've used a lot at conferences. If I attend there, kind of just tweet about what people are talking about. And that's helped me make a lot of connections in the industry. And I've even gotten some guest posting opportunities through that.
Okay. And then, of course, Facebook, we all know that's...
Yeah, in Facebook, I don't know if it's as useful in a job search. I think more often you hear about it as someone posted something they shouldn't have and it was discovered.
Yeah, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
It happens. So back to LinkedIn, I often hear that one needs, a lot of connections to make their LinkedIn profile go to another step or next level or whatever. What is that? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, so the value of having a lot of connections is LinkedIn lets you see who is connected to the people you're connected to, so that your second, third degree connections. So how that's useful is, I'll give you an example. At my current job, I was looking for someone who worked at the company. I found someone who I was connected to that I hadn't spoken to for a while, but it showed that they were working at the same company. So I reached out to them via LinkedIn because we had some mutual connections and I was able to do that. And that person ended up referring me to my current job. Oh. So just the more connections you have, the more access to opportunities like that you have. But I think you also want to be careful on, you don't want to connect to everyone. Because if you do get asked to, can you refer me, and you don't know anything about them, then you're putting yourself in a tough spot.
One question about LinkedIn, another question about LinkedIn. If you do reach out to someone and they don't reach back, they don't respond, do you nudge them again, or what's your thought on that, or do you just leave it?
Probably one follow-up is safe, but after that, I don't try to push it after that. Yeah.
So marketing roles and functions. So we talked a little bit about digital content and stuff. What else is out there for, what other types of marketing?
I mean, marketing is very broad. There's digital and kind of content, but there's also media. So the advertising, that can be traditional, TV, radio, or more like for each function like that.
You mentioned earlier, I just want to go back to, you said there's paid, you can pay to market and out there, but how much is that normally? Because I know on Facebook you can set a budget, if you will, so you don't really have to spend a lot to market it unless you want to, right? Because you can create that budget.
Right. So you can set your budgets. You can set how much you want to pay per click or how much per impression or 1,000 impressions. So it is something you control, but before, businesses used to be visible on normal feeds without having to do that. Right. Now you have to actually pay to really get more eyeballs. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be right back to talk about personal branding. Up next, personal branding. We'll be right back after these public service announcements.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking, now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Some risks are obviously not worth taking. Some aren't as obvious, but could be just as deadly, like the risk for type 2 diabetes. Take the diabetes risk test and stop diabetes before it stops you.
Welcome back to Career Center. I'm Kimberly White, Executive Director of the Community Career Center, continuing my conversation with Pratik Bhatt. Pratik, so glad you're still with me.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to follow up. We were talking about LinkedIn and how important it is to have connections, not necessarily taking on every person that reaches out. But also, you want to be discovered on LinkedIn as well, right?
Yeah. So recruiters and hiring managers are also on LinkedIn looking for new employees. They post jobs there. And so if you have a robust profile, you filled out everything, you have the right keywords like you do on a resume, people can find you. One of my former employers actually reached out to me and asked me to apply to his job. And if I didn't have a good LinkedIn profile that showed those skills that he was looking for, I may have never discovered that job. And that was really my first in-house marketing role, so I'm really glad he found me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I'm hearing about that more often than not, that people are being discovered for jobs. So that's really good. And then what about, we talked, I know, about Twitter. People can't necessarily, I guess, find you on Twitter for jobs, but companies are tweeting jobs and stuff. So there's another reason to really be connected. Yeah.
Follow the companies you're interested in. Find out what's going on at their, company news, things like that you could bring to the interview.
All right, so I want to switch a little bit and talk about branding, because I think that's equally as important. Is there a difference, or, there's personal branding and then there's your professional brand. Are they one and the same? I think consistent across the board?
Yeah, I think it varies, but it's how you want to portray yourself. I think it's important to understand you already have a personal brand and professional brand, whether you have been intentionally trying to or not. How you interact with your colleagues, your family, your friends, and what they perceive of that, that's your brand. So if you're the same person, if you kind of behave similarly both in your professional and personal life, there may be a lot of overlap. But then professional, you're obviously going to have a lot more emphasis on kind of what you're doing at work, more, you'll probably change your attire, if you dress up for work, those types of things can contribute to your professional brand. At home or, when you're with your friends, you may be more laid back, whereas, you may be more on, you have the game face on at work. So it can blend, but there's definitely a distinction that you should be thinking about.
So what role then does social media play as it relates to your brand? Because there's their online branding and then there's kind of an offline brand. Yeah. So let's talk about the online, the social media piece.
Sure. So social media is just a nice, easy way for you to kind of portray your brand in the way you want to. And, everyone is posting on Facebook with selfies and, what they like and, cheering for teams, that type of thing. So you're putting a persona or a version of yourself out there. So if you do that intentionally with professional articles, links, information, blog posts, really kind of own their personal brand. I have my own URL, petiquebot.com, for that reason. If someone's looking for me, they'll go to there first. So, I get to decide what that first impression might be. And on there, I talk about, different aspects of what I feel are important and what I want to portray. Equal weight on your offline brand, how you behave, how, do you show up to work and are you reliable? Those types of things are a reflection on your brand as well.
Right. Yeah, I was just talking about the importance of even who you choose to go and have lunch with.
Right.
Right? Are you lunching with the office gossip or, so that really does play a role in it as well.
Exactly.
How important is your brand when you're searching for a career?
So I think it's very important. Right now, if you go out there and you're putting yourself out there with resumes or LinkedIn, you're applying blindly. You're one of maybe 100, one of 1,000 people applying for that job. But if you've found a way, if you've developed a brand, if you've put yourself out there and shown that you can do something that you're applying for by demonstrating via a portfolio, your experiences, that type of thing, then you already have a leg up on someone who's just sending a paper resume. So the other thing is, like the example from LinkedIn, there are recruiters who are kind of actively looking for people. If you've developed a strong brand and showcase that you have the knowledge and skills in an area, they'll reach out to you and they'll find you. Like, you get reached out to if you have a strong brand versus you having to kind of always do the outreach.
I want to go back to something you said about creating a website. So you said you encourage people to think about doing that. How involved is that? And how, involved should your website be?
And it's as easy as signing up for a free tool like WordPress. Tumblr. There's lots of free tools that help you, make it easy as typing into a Microsoft Word document. So it doesn't have to be difficult. If you want to take it to the next level, you can. The why I like a website is it offers a lot more customization. You can personalize it and make it more of your own versus a tool like LinkedIn where there are specific sections built in and you're confined to those.
And so would your website reflect, personal life, family, trips, things of that nature? So kind of across the gamut, right?
Yeah. That's how
I think yours, but yeah.
That's how blogging I think starts and started, talking about more personal things. But then as you recognize you can actually use it for professional, your professional portfolio or profile. You can use the same site and have different pages, or you can create multiple sites. One's a personal one, one's a more professional one.
But both could probably be found, right? So I guess I'm getting at, you really want to steer clear of certain things, right? If there's someone that's considering you for employment, if they see a lot of, stuff around politics or something, you have to really be careful.
Yeah, and that's
keep it off of there.
that's the best recommendation of keep it kind of to yourself in most cases, but I think it's becoming a little bit more public just in the recent environment. So it's kind of how you want to be known. If that's something that's part of your brand, and if you're in the space, if you're in politics, you may be very forthright. You may be very open about that.
So a question about what information you would put on your resume as it relates to social media. So would you, obviously you're LinkedIn, would you put your Twitter handle on there, or if you had a website, would you put that on there?
I do in my case because I've used it for marketing in my industry and trying to kind of make those connections. If you use it more on a personal level, then it may not be relevant. But I think that's what's important about a resume. It is very tight and focused on the role that you're applying to, whereas social media is very broad, open, and all over the place. So.
All right, so what are some tips or some ways one could improve their personal brand?
Yeah, I think first thing is just really understand what your strengths are. Take some time to kind of think about what you want that brand to be. So a brand, we're most familiar with the term when it comes to companies. The big brands like Coke, open happiness. That's when you think of that, you hear that fizz of the bottle, and so there are certain things that you think of with a brand. How do you want people to think of you when they hear your name and see your picture? So when you've done that, then it becomes a little easier to focus in on then what your next steps are. I narrowed it down for me personally to a few topics of like creativity and art, marketing and business, and then when I was doing my MBA, I focused in on my B school experience. And narrowing it down helps you then focus your activities to, I want to write about, you can't write about everything you're doing and all your trips and every restaurant you go to and all that, but when you're thinking about branding, you want to focus and develop intentional connections, content, and kind of behaviors that reflect that.
Yeah, and think about who is on the other end.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it can't be stressed enough that you really have control over that.
Definitely.
And you have to.
Yeah, I mean, that is key. Whether or not you control it, it exists. So it might as well kind of take ownership of it.
Yeah, that's really pretty good. What about, so let's just go back to social media and your own personal story. Like, how has it helped you in your career?
Yeah, I mean, starting the business, I dipped my toe in social media, but really just being active on it through my jobs and then using the tools to kind of practice what I was learning, that really helped me kind of move ahead. And then like the blog and the website, the accounts have really helped me. So one of the best examples is I was blogging about my MBA experience. I was able to outrank some of the school's blogs and content with some of my posts, and that really helped me.
How did you do that?
I had some SEO experience and wrote some long articles, and because thinking about the audience in mind, having just gone through the decision process, I was able to kind of hit the mark with that post, and that helped me get a job with the university. So it's a direct example of if you put in the time on tools like social media and blogging, they can lead to better career opportunities. Yeah.
So your top 2 social media tips for folks who are in a job search, what might those be?
Go to LinkedIn, make sure it's fully filled out, and it tells you if it's an incomplete profile. Yeah. And then consider using their paid features. They usually have
on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, they have a free trial that you can start out for the month. That gives you a little more insights about the company. Really use it to research what the company is doing and who you might know at those companies. And then you can use that to reach out to people and just ask them questions about the company, get their insights. And maybe if you've made a good enough connection, you can actually use that to get in the door.
This has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Again, Pratik, thank you for joining me on this month's edition of Career Center. And to our television audience, if you are in a job transition or looking to advance your career, visit the Community Career Center at 1815 West Dill Road, Suite 900 in Naperville, or search us on the web at communitycareercenter.org to assist you as you search for your next success. Thank you so much for watching.
I had to get my black tuxedo pressed, Pam soda button on my vest. For today I have to look my best. Singing for Seniors is back again. Had to get some sponsor bucks somewhere. Had to shine my shoes and slick my hair and buy myself this boutonniere. Singing for Seniors is today. You should have told all your peeps, look around at the vacant seats. This is the best show of the year. Next October, bring them here. We're gonna start the show with Stu and Dave. Over the year, they're two of my faves. You're about to see why they're all the rave. Singing for Seniors takes the stage.
Little Susie, wake up. Wake up, little Susie, wake up. We've both been sound asleep. Wake up, little Susie, and weep. The movie's over, it's 4 o'clock, and we're in trouble deep. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie. Well, what are we gonna tell your mama? What are we gonna tell your pa? What are we gonna tell your friends when they say, ooh la la? Wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up, little Susie. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream, dream when I want you in my arms, and I want you and all your charms whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream, 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 dream when I feel blue.